welcome to the Beautiful Troubles podcast. Today we are at Kayole Social Justice Centre. We're meeting with comrades here. We've had a good conversation and we'll dive into a conversation about civil disobedience, how we're practicing it, what is happening, our thoughts around that. We are outside, so it might be a bit noisy, so bear with us if any interruptions occur. We'll be starting with Faith Kasina, who coordinates the Social Justice Centre, and she will be guiding us through the conversation and inviting in other members of the centre. Faith Kasina, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Faith Kasina. I coordinate the centre. Kayole Community Justice Centre is a human rights organization that monitors, documents, and reports human rights violations. It's a young people's space, a safe space for the community to discuss its issues and come up with solutions, community-centered solutions, because I think that is what will work for us. In terms of civil disobedience, and I will take us back to COVID-19 and the laws that and rules that the Kenyan government was trying to actually enforce, and one of them was staying at home. The other one was washing your hands. The other one was maintaining social distance, and of course the curfew. So one of the things is that I come from a ghetto, and which is an informal settlement. And one of the challenges we have is the issue of water. So when you're told you need to wash your hands, and the government is not providing that the water for that. Also, when the government says stay at home and you do casual labor, so you work every day, you don't have savings, you don't have anything, and the government is not providing food to sustain you or anything. When the government says maintain social distance and you live in a slum where even you don't have a road to pass through, it doesn't make sense. So this whole thing about the laws that they were enforcing, it wasn't making sense for us. It would actually work for people who live in the middle class areas or any other place, and people who have insurance, people who have savings and all that. We don't have savings, we don't have anything, we don't have food. So staying at home also meant dying in your house. You don't social distance in a single room where you live around 8 people. So that does not work. So during the COVID-19, the Social Justice Centre's movement organized a protest, which led to a lot of young people being arrested. But we were saying that the government needs to come in and put measures, like protect its people. Because now you're telling me to stay at home, maintain social distance. That cannot work in a slum. And also staying at home means that I will die of hunger. I will die of thirst because there's no water. I need to work to sustain my life. And the government, so one of the things we were actually pushing for is the implementation of Article 43 of the Kenyan Constitution, which actually touches on social and economic rights, and one of them is food, water, and housing. That is what we're telling the government. I think it's time for you to actually, and healthcare, it's time for you to implement this. We didn't have ICU beds then. We had like 20 ICU beds in Kenya by that time. Yeah. Our hospitals are a total mess. The healthcare itself is in ICU. So even getting sick would mean like we will all die. So I think one of the things is we came out to actually highlight these very pertinent issues that are very that would ensure the safety of everyone. But the government was working as if they don't realize that we can't maintain safety of everyone if we don't look at these very pertinent issues. So that day we went to the streets. We put on our masks and went to protest in the streets. And one of the things is that the government now pretended that they have had. They said, we know there are people who can't do, because now they looked at artists and they were like, yes, artists cannot do concerts. So what we'll do is that we provide some support for artists. Our government is, anyway, it's a very funny, it's led by jokers, because when you say you are looking at artists, they didn't look at grassroots artists. They didn't look at, they created a list of artists, and these are like mainstream artists who are known, and the problem also was the amount they were getting. It was less than 10,000 shillings. Yeah. Now tell me, what will you do with less than 10,000 shillings? That's like $100, or less. With what can you do with that amount? It can't pay your rent, because one of the challenges that also we experience is that now rent went high. Everything became expensive because it was very little. Markets were closing, so even the food became expensive. So the amount they were trying to sort for artists wasn't gonna make anything better. Mm-hmm. And now the other question you were asking is what happens to the elderly?
Yeah.
What happens to the children? And what happens to the people in the slums? Mm-hmm. And in response to that, and it's also the other reason why we went to the streets, government demolished and evicted people in Mukuru during COVID-19. Yeah. So we were asking them, you're telling us to stay at home, and now you're demolishing our houses. Where do you expect us to go to live? So that is one of the reasons why we couldn't agree with everything the government was trying to do, and we continued protesting. And apart from even the protest on social media, is we are on the protest going to the streets. Yeah. We now brought also the protest on social media, mm-hmm. to actually expose the government and what our Kenyan government was doing to its own people. It's during COVID, we have this crisis, and this is happening, but also we see our government demolishing our houses. Where are we supposed to go? Where are we supposed to go? And what are we supposed to do? Who will come to our rescue when our own government is killing its own people?
Yeah, and I love that you highlight all this that was happening during COVID. So technically we had laws in place about, social distancing, wearing a mask, hand washing, everything in place. And you protested that because that was not something that was possible in the neighborhood of Kayole.
Yeah.
What was the outcomes of that? What changed after the protest?
One of the things is it now brought in the conversation about Article 43, like with everyone. It now became an actual conversation, because I think one of the things is that we keep saying the Kenyan constitution is a new constitution, mm-hmm. It's a new constitution. So people have not really familiarized themselves with that with the contents of the constitution. So that mm-hmm. brought in the conversation about Article 43 and its implementation by the government. Yeah. And so everyone started pushing for actually that to be implemented.
Could you talk about what is Article 43?
Oh, sorry. Article 43 is an article in the Kenyan constitution, which pushes for implementation for actually Kenyans to access dignity, because they push for housing, healthcare, water, like the basic human needs that we can't live without, education. So, and also social welfare, which actually that is the most ignored aspect by our government, So it actually brought in that conversation, and most of the people now started having that conversation. But also they have a conversation about Njaa revolution, So Kenyans were actually like, yes, we are dying of hunger, and we can't die in our houses. Yeah. And the government is not doing anything. So that awakened people to actually now start pushing for implementation of the constitution. And now most of the hashtags started being, so the protest on social media was Tekeleza Katiba, implement the constitution. So Tekeleza Katiba with emphasis on Article 43. So I think that is what that really and it's what has culminated now to the protests that we saw in 2024 and in this year 2025, that people are still pushing for the constitution to be implemented. We can't say we have a new constitution and it's today tomorrow marks 15 years since the constitution.
It's a teenage constitution.
Yes, it's a teenage constitution. You can't keep telling us it's a new constitution.
Yeah.
And the moment you keep saying it's a new constitution, it means give us more time because it's new, but you're even not doing anything for people to understand what the contents of this new constitution that you keep saying it's new, but it can't be new when it's 15 years. So that is what has actually now pushed, has gotten us to this conversation about tekeleza katiba, implement the constitution. So that is where we are at when it comes to that. But also what has built up to the 2024-2025 conversations, One of the things is after people showed up on June 18th on the streets last year, and then June 20th, and then Rex was killed. And then June 25th, we showed up in large numbers. Yeah. And then the government said, you are a terrorist, you're criminals, you're everything. And saying that we shouldn't show up we shouldn't protest again because, we have turned the protest to be violent. But people showed up still. Because one, you can't tell us not to protest while you're the one pushing, you're actually implementing laws that are meant to frustrate us, that are meant to kill us, that are meant to make our life unbearable, So I think just getting to a point where we are not going to conform to your laws, we are not going to listen to you while we are not living dignified lives, while we cannot access our rights as a people. Yeah. So I think we've seen a lot of actions on civil disobedience, and I think that is what has been working for Kenyans, because one of the things that we keep experiencing is a government that is adamant to actually silence its people, a government that is adamant to make sure that what they do doesn't get outside there. They kill us, we're not supposed to speak about it. Our constitution, Article 26, guarantees the right to life, But then the government goes ahead and gives a shoot to kill order. Yeah. And that is supposed to make us not to show up on the streets. But we say, you can't kill us when we have the constitution. We will still show up on the streets because this shoot to kill order is meant to silence us, not actually to deal with the militias on the streets.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do want to bring in the other voices in the room, because when we talk of civil disobedience, technically we are breaking a law, like we're going against a law. With the example you gave, for example, during COVID, there were policies in place. You don't go into public places in groups. You don't have mass gatherings, and yet you protest, which is a mass gathering. So you have gone against the current law. So when we are looking at such things, what should we consider? Because there are people who might stand on the other side and be like, you're the problem. You're breaking the law. You have been told to not congregate. You're congregating. So what should we consider in such situations where we are deciding to do an activity that is technically breaking the law?
Okay, my name is Gerard Kamau. I'm from Kayole Community Justice Centre and part of Land and Ecological Justice Committee. For me, civil disobedience should go further and rely on other strategies like economic sabotage to the oppressive system. Like when we were protesting in the streets, when we were protesting in our streets, like in Kayole, in Dandora, a lot of people are being shot at with the live bullets. So we decided that the protest should go to the CBD. And that was a strategy for us to deprive the oppressive regime of its economic aspect and push it to look into the cries of the ordinary Kenyans.
Yes, for those who don't speak Kenyan, CBD is the Central Business District.
Yeah. Okay, so when we protest in the Central Business District, we not only sabotage the economic aspect of the regime, but also we there was a certain campaign called Total Shutdown KE, where we could block the roads leading to a major city in Kenya. And when the regime sees we are sabotaging the economy, they calm down, or they listen to us. Like the finance bill, it could have not been easy if we could have not sabotaged the economy. Like we make sure no vehicle enters the CBD, and no work is being done in the CBD. So for civil disobedience to be successful, we must sabotage the economy, so that the regime sees the importance and the critical aspect of the demands the people are putting across.
I am also thinking about something that we have seen with the current protest, Gunism. We all know about Gunism. So you plan a protest in terms of us as a civil disobedience tactic. You go on the streets, but then it becomes violence. How do you navigate that as you're planning or choosing a tactic like protest, going on the streets? How do you assess that risk of it turning violent, and how do you navigate that? Anybody in the room, including Kasina, can speak to it. But yes.
Okay, I can answer about Gunism. And when a person is being mobilized to become a goon, he takes a side, like he has a political godfather, maybe, and it is our duty to educate these people who are saying they are goons, because what they lack is clarity about the situation. So they go where they will be like.
You can use Swahili. We will
majority of the goons wanaendaga mahali watashiba, mahali watapata unga, because the situation in Kenya is the economic part of the struggle is very hard.
So you have to find food and payment, be able to survive.
Yeah,
that's why they go there.
They go that way because of survival. But our duty is to educate them to become like soldiers of the struggle. It's a hard thing, because organizing a goon is more so like organizing a lumpen. Yeah, it's very difficult, because these people are the people who are most oppressed by the system. They are the lowest in the strata. A lot of our youths are unemployed. A lot of our youths are hungry. So when a person becomes a goon, it's because the political clarity is low, and as well as the economic part is being deprived.
How do you do the education? I can pass my mic to you. How do you do the education?
Okay, mobilizing these people to be on the side of the people, you mobilize them to see the situation that they belong to a certain class, and the people who are oppressing them are the people who are still using them as goons, as hooligans. So educating them to know their class status is very important in the struggle, because most of the people who oppress them are the rich, and our fight is a class struggle.
I think another thing that we've done is to also use social media to actually expose who is mobilizing these people, and who is being used as the mobilizer on the ground, because there's a politician who is mobilizing them, like Sakaja, and there's now the person who is mobilizing them on the ground, like Swale, you know. So Swale is Sakaja is a Nairobi governor, and Swale is a goon who is a mobilizer for Sakaja, who has been mobilizing these young people who are sent to now attack protesters. So we've done that, and we've seen Swale apologize to the people and actually say, it's true, I mobilized people, but I'm very sorry. So one of the tactics we've used is social media. And I know it comes with the data privacy and whatever thing, but one of the things we've been very clear is to differentiate between what's right and wrong. So we will not use data privacy when you not use data privacy to protect yourself when you're doing something that is wrong. Because when you mobilize militia to come and attack protesters, that is wrong. You should be exposed. So the government should not use data privacy on us, or whatever, those things. So it's also the same thing we've done with the police officer who killed Rex. Because the government started saying, that did not happen. And we are like, you guys, a police officer who was wearing a blue shirt killed Rex, and we saw him. And so in that whole thing, as the government was trying to say data privacy, the people shared his photo. The next thing people shared is his contacts, where he lives, because accountability does not stop. You cannot protect yourself from being accountable by using laws to actually protect you. And because we also know that our government is a rogue government, it's an anti-people government. So at no point will they actually show the person who killed Rex. So we've used social media, and that is the latest tool that we've used to actually expose the violence that the government has meted on its citizens, but also to expose the people who are being used by the government to actually turn against the people. Because I know I know a lot of people will argue, there's a very thin line there between breaking the law and everything. But also the other thing is, what happens to the justice of these people who have been violated? Because the goons that the government sent raped women, harassed women on the streets. So at that point, they need to be exposed, because we know very well that those people will never access justice. So if we don't call out these people and if we don't expose them, then we also don't we deny these people justice. If we don't expose this police officer who killed, like the one who killed Boniface Karaoke in the streets during the 17th of June protest this year. Rex was last year's protest, June 18. This year, June 17th, it was Boniface Karaoke who was killed on the streets. That police officer lives in Kayole. And the government was like, that is, he's not a police officer at some point. And you're like, why would you deny someone was wearing the uniform in the streets and was carrying a gun? And who we know actually is a police officer and lives in Kayole. And was been terrorizing young people in Kayole. And we've been reporting it, and you actually do nothing. So we got an opportunity to actually expose his face, where he lives, and his names, and his badge number. So we are like, wait. At this point, it's not even about the law. At this point, it's about the justice. That you will deny the people he's been terrorizing for the longest time. You deny the people of Kayole. You will deny Boniface Karaoke if we don't expose him. So I think for us, for the people who will argue the laws and everything, I think we only need to look at what is right and what is wrong at this point, and who the law should protect at certain times. Because the law should only protect the people who seek justice, the oppressed, not the people who are oppressing them, the oppressor. And so when you're telling me data protection to actually, we should not, expose Ruto, we should not expose. No, Ruto is a perpetrator. He's the one creating all this mess. Raila is the one creating all this mess. These killer cops are the one killing people. So at this point, it's not even about them. We are exposing the rot, not that. We are exposing the rot, the violence, the oppression that we face every day. So I think that is the thin line. If anyone comes to ask, I think you should only look at the justice and the oppressed and the oppressor at this point, and the enemy. So and most of the times the law always protects the oppressor. At no point do we ever see most of the, especially in our current context now in Kenya, where the current regime does not respect the law, does not respect the judiciary. We've only seen them use the law to protect themselves, and not at any point to ask, to push for justice for the people who have been killed, the women who were raped, and so many people who are struggling, the people who have been evicted from their homes, So yeah.
I see other voices in the room. I would also like to hear, Kasina did mention that sometimes it's a thin line between breaking the law and seeking justice, and that conversation comes up. I can see somebody has thought to contribute, but if you can speak to that, that would also be good to hear.
Okay, my name is Esther Mwikali, member of Kayole Justice Centre and also a councillor. I just wanted to add something on top of the Gunism. Kenya, we have a constitution, a very progressive one, and rights goes with responsibility. Government acts its own responsibility and the citizen. And the main mandate of the government is to protect the citizens. And the aspect of Gunism, I don't know where it comes from, because government is supposed to separate the legal demonstrators and the goons, because we have people who are trained to identify who is a goon and who is a normal demonstrator. So I think that's a failure. Someone has slept on the job, because the element of goonism will not appear. The normal demonstrators and the legal demonstrators, they are asking for a right. They are holding the government on something that they are not doing right. So I think the element of Gunism should not appear anywhere, and the government should take care of that. And also, now the civil disobedience. When people are doing civil disobedience, it means there is someone somewhere who is sleeping on his job, because if people in the government are doing their right to protect the citizen and also to implement Article 43, then there will be no civil disobedience. So when there's civil disobedience, is the government which has failed, and it is the right, the responsibility of the citizen to awaken the government and also to ask for their rights. So there's nothing like civil disobedience when the government is doing its own job. So whenever you see a civil disobedience, it means the government has left on its job. So if the government can up its job, then no one will do a civil disobedience. So I think citizens are doing their rightful role that they are mandated by the constitution. So we don't expect any citizen to be armed by the government, anyone to be abducted, anyone to be arrested when they are doing civil disobedience. What the government should do is they should sit down with the citizen and ask the citizen, why are you doing that? Then the citizen, they are able to explain why they are doing it, because it is their right to react to the failure of the government. So that's what I wanted to comment. Thank you,
Mwikali. And I want to throw another question to the room, because the government should, but does it? It doesn't do all that it's supposed to do. So we know, like, things like guns should not exist. If we are having a peaceful protest, we shouldn't the government has a responsibility of identifying the violent people within the protest, but it doesn't do that. So what can we do as the people who are planning peaceful protest to make sure we are also not branded as the people causing the violence?
Okay, I think we have a constitution which talks about that. People can exercise their power direct or indirect through their democratically elected leaders. So if those leaders are not doing that, then there is that aspect of people can take they can hold their leaders, they can take their role direct, they can hold the government accountable direct. And that's why we go to the street, because the government has not done their role, and that's our way which we are given by the constitution to hold them accountable direct. That's why we exercise our power direct, because the government has failed. So when we are doing that, we are very right. We should not be harmed by anyone in the street, and we are not supposed to be sent goon to come and arm us. And if goons comes when intentionally, then the government should know them and they work on them. So the citizens are doing the rightful role of exercising their power and direct, and it is there in the constitution.
But what is the government doing? Is the government doing all that, Mwikali?
It is not doing, and that's why now we are there in the street to tell them you are not doing the right thing. Yeah.
Okay. I also want to hear, and I want to go back to that question. When they brand us as the goons, so we go on the streets, we have a protest, and they brand us as Kayole Social Justice Centre as the goons. How do we navigate? How do we assess that risk before we go on the streets? How do we mitigate that and make sure we still protect each other?
Okay, let me answer then give to another person.
Please.
The aspect of being branded is just another way of saying they have failed, because these people, before they go to the streets, we know there's there's that article, that section of we should report that we are going to the streets, and we always report that we are going to the street, so that the government can know if it is just the center Kayole, they are going to the street. So I don't know why they brand people as goons, and they know Kayole just center does this and that. So at what point do they become goons, and they have already reported that they have notified the government that they are going to the street to tell them that this is not right.
There is a certain case of the Mudaiga tree, of our comrades who were arrested by the DCI, and the DCI came with these trumped up charges of terrorism. The case was dropped because of lack of evidence from the DCI. This is a tactic that the regime, the oppressive regime, is using to silence the people who are of a contrary opinion, and it has failed. It has failed because the people know the work we do, and the people trust us with the work we do. So labeling us as terrorists or goons does not stick.
Yeah, I would just also explain. DCI stands for Director of Criminal Investigations. Yes. There's a lot of acronyms, Kenyan acronyms, that I will just repeat the whole word for the non-Kenyan listeners.
I think I also wanted to say that we turn the narrative against them, because when the government called us terrorists, we said, yes, we are terrorists who are fighting for what is right. And even when the government started saying it's a tribal war, that most of the people who are on the streets are Kikuyus. Kikuyu is a tribe in Kenya, one of the tribes in Kenya. We actually went to on social media to say we are all Kikuyus then. So I think what we've done successfully is to try turn the narrative against them, so it dies on arrival. That is one of the things we've done. But also the other thing is put strategies to actually protect one another. So after the June 25th, after we saw what happened, after some of us were harassed on the streets and everything, on Sabasaba, that is July 7th, we were protesting again, and we went in groups. So this time round, because most of the times we are like, I would ask, Glado umefika town? Okay. Glado, are you in town? I'm coming, But this time we were like, wait for me. We meet at this point. We all go together. So that way we've protected one another. Whatever happens, because it's hard for them to attack a group, but it's easy for you to be attacked alone, because we are so many. We will be so many in like a big number in town. So maybe you're in an area of people who do not know you. Yeah. But when you walk in groups of maybe the Kayole comrades and a few comrades are at a certain point in town, then you are there, you're protected each other. And when you live together. So that has been one way to actually deal with goons. And it's also the other tactic that we've taught other young people who do not belong in organization, but at least if you're go with someone who knows you. That way, because we've seen goons turn actually brand our people as thieves, that this one has stolen from this person. And because you are alone, people turn against you and beat you, because people in the streets didn't want people are stealing from people. So when you say someone has stolen, it would actually, we saw people getting beaten for that. So what we were doing is going in groups. That has protected people, and that made sure that we all came back home safe, but we were also able to account for the people who left their homes, because we were able to get, did Faith get home safe? Did Gladys get home safe? Did Gerald get home safe? The other thing is we also took photos. So we documented everything that was happening on the streets. And most of the photos you see police escorting young people who are carrying rungus.
Batons.
Yes, batons.
Yeah.
Who are carrying batons on the streets. That shows you that they were not us. They were on that side being escorted by the police, and we were on the other side marching to actually, yes, being tear gassed. So that shows you who is financing this violence, who is supporting this militia, and also why would police support a militia instead of arresting them, So that was able to expose the whole violence from the state, and also the tactics they were now using, because now people started calling out the violence by the police on protesters and asking the government about democracy, questioning the kind of democracy that Kenya is practicing. So when that happened, they turned the tactics and now mobilize young people against us. So also that we made sure that we documented that, and that is where community citizen journalism comes in. We did a lot of because one, the government also threatened the mainstream media of shutting it down, and so we had to activate citizen journalism and make sure that, especially most of those citizen journalists who have TikTok accounts and YouTube, they document everything that was happening. That way, we have evidence that we were not the ones attacking people on the streets. These were militias protected by the state who were attacking people on the street.
Thank you. I know we are not doing so well on time, but this is a good chance for us to also learn from what Kenyans are doing. I think most of the world has been seeing people on the streets. It's good to hear voices of those of us who have been on the streets. What were the considerations? What was the thinking of protecting ourselves, but also making sure we call out the injustices? I would like to bring this pod to a close, but before I do that, I'll ask Kasina to share where we can find information about the Kayole Social Justice Centre, where people can find you if they want to visit, and also give us a parting shot.
Okay. We are on social media platforms. Facebook is Kayole CJC. That is our most active social media. We've had issues with censorship, so the government has been pulling down our Twitter accounts. We have a Twitter X account at Kayole CJC as well, on Instagram at Kayole CJC. We are located at Kayole, that is Nairobi, Kayole Matopeni. Near the Kayole police station.
There's a pin on
there's a pin on Google Maps. Yes, please don't get lost. There's a pin on Google Maps. And so this has been a very great conversation. One, it has also reminded us of the struggle that we wage, because most of the times we don't sit and reflect on everything that we've done, and we take things lightly. We don't. And I think just talking about the struggle we fought since COVID-19 and even now, and how Kenyans continue to use civil disobedience as a way to raise concerns, to raise questions, to ask for accountability, as shows that one, I'm proud that Kenyans are waking up. I'm proud that people are asking questions. I'm proud that people choose justice over obeying laws that oppress them, and I'm proud, and I hope that we continue doing the same, that laws do not prevent us from asking questions, that we don't obey laws that let us live in misery and undignified lives, that always we will choose justice and dignity over any other thing. Thank you.
Asanteni sana. We are happy to host you on the podcast.
Hi, We hope you enjoyed the conversation on this episode of Troublemakers and feel inspired to stir up some good trouble in your own community. Do feel free to check out our other episodes and subscribe to Troublemakers Podcast in your preferred podcast app. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook as troublemakers.podcast for all the latest updates, behind-the-scenes content, and sneak peeks of what's coming next. We also love to hear from our listeners. You can email us via troublemakersthepodcast@gmail.com or simply drop a DM through our social media. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, take a moment and share it with a friend or leave us a review. It really helps us grow our community of troublemakers. Keep shaking things up.